Hello everybody and welcome back to the TripleJump podcast. It's a video game podcast. My name is Ben.
And my name is Peter.
Peter, it's happening.
It's happening. It's really happening right now. 2
months removed from when many of us will be significantly worse off financially.
Yes.
We have finally learned information about just how worse off we'll be.
Yeah. I'm due a security deposit back for a flat that I've been living in, and it's going to basically cost almost all of that. So that's what we're talking here. Security deposit, like a month's rent, effectively.
Yeah. That's it. Who needs it? Put it towards something more serious.
Something that I need more than somewhere to live. Yeah.
Don't be ridiculous. Of course, the PlayStation 5 at the time of recording was properly shown off last night, and its release date and price revealed. We will talk about that at the end of the show, of course. Before we get there, though, or before we even start and do anything, did you make an attempt to pre-order one after the end of the show last night?
I tried. I was silly to even think that I'd be able to, but yeah, I got as far as finding it on Game. I couldn't find it on Amazon at the time. I don't think it's gone up yet, but I found it on Game, and I was able to add it to my basket. But when I got to checkout, it just kept crashing and crashing and crashing. So
yeah,
I've not got one pre-ordered, sadly, at the moment. At time recording,
as yet unsecured.
How about you?
I have.
Excellent.
But it's
well
sort
done.
of a thank you. It's sort of a higgledy-piggledy pre-order the various bits from anywhere that will let me kind of approach.
Oh, you've bought it kind of in different bits and bobs.
Yes. So I was sat there after the conference sort of waiting for news on when pre-orders would open. And then I saw, pre-orders will open from tomorrow at select retailers. So then I was like, well, I'm staying up until midnight then. And I was just refreshing Amazon and Game because I felt like those were the two most viable options in terms of having them available. Game put their pre-orders up early, and their entire their entire sign-in functionality of their website was broken, so nobody could get in. I even heard that some guy had been trading in things for ages to get a huge Game gift card balance, and he couldn't use it because he couldn't get in to his account.
No.
So I couldn't log in, so I had to check out as a guest, and I managed to get one of them. But I didn't get an email confirmation, and I was like, "This is strange." So I waited a little while, and then I heard that Game have done this before, where they've set pre-orders live early, and they shouldn't have done, and then it's people who pre-order it slightly after who end up getting the confirmations, and that some people were getting confirmations. So I then pre-ordered it again from Game.
Ooh, okay.
And I did get an email confirmation, so that one is secured. The other one, I don't know yet. We'll see. And if it is, then I'll cancel that.
That makes sense, because I saw a tweet this morning where someone had said, I've either ordered no PS5s or pre-ordered 30 PS5s.
Yeah.
And I didn't understand what that tweet meant, but that makes a lot of sense. Now.
I think that's the case for a lot of people. You know, if that earlier pre-order comes through, then I'll cancel that, and obviously that'll go to someone else. But yeah, I got one. Then I did the accessories separately, but I couldn't get all the accessories, so I've pre-ordered accessories from Shop2, Smith's Toys, and Game. So I'm going to have several different packages arriving, but assuming everything went through okay. God, it was an ordeal, though.
I'm not in a rush for accessories yet. I want to probably get a second controller, but other than that, I'm not too desperate from launch to have, headphones and camera and things like that. But, yeah.
It's just madness. Everyone trying to cram through that website at once. And I think the US obviously had similar issues regarding that. But we will go into more detail about that at the end of the show, as I said. This is a video game podcast. We talk about video games here and not jumping 3 times.
No.
We are sponsored, of course, by a different company each and every week. I have the ad read here. Would you like to hear it?
Please read the ad.
This week, we are sponsored by Demon's Holes.
Okay.
Now, Demon's Holes is a mini golf course that you can visit with up to 2 friends. and it's all themed on castles and sludgy swamps and spooky skeleton graveyards and crypts and so on.
Yeah, I know crypts.
It's legally different from the video game Demon's Souls.
I've not even thought of that. Yeah,
exactly.
It's funny that the name is very similar.
I think it's just coincidental. So there's a bit of crossover there, and there's a fun twist with Demon's Holes mini golf, in that if you don't get a hole in one, you and your party are brutally murdered where you stand. You just you die, and that's it.
Sounds very difficult, but some people really like to do difficult things and feel a big sense of reward once they've done it.
Absolutely. Yeah. The sign out the front says it's the Dark Souls of mini golf games.
Oh wow!
Mini golf
okay.
Courses, yeah. So so you sort of know what you're getting into, and it's now open. You can go see it. It's in all terrible British seaside towns, all of them, every single one.
Well, that sounds brilliant. I can't wait to go. And in fact, I'd be really disappointed if it ended up closing or, perhaps not being real or anything like that. So really excited.
That's good. Yeah. I'm sorry, Peter.
What?
It's a lie.
Oh, you got me.
I got you. You thought you were going to go have a nice game of murder golf, but not today.
Demon's Holes.
Not today, buddy. No, Demon's Holes is not a real sponsor. The actual sponsors are, of course, our patrons over at patreon.com/Team TripleJump, where for as little as $1 per month, you can ask questions on this show. Where are we walking today, Peter?
We're walking through perhaps a very, very, very tightly packed crowd of people who are all queuing up at a checkout.
I think we should float ominously above them, just to make it easier for James to animate that. We haven't given context for a while. This is for our video component. Obviously, we used to sit in the same room to do this podcast, but since the C virus, we've been doing it at home. So the YouTube video version needs something. And so we walk across various background images each week. That sounds good. A crowd. Yeah. Now, give me an example, Peter, of a patron who supports us on Patreon where they ask questions for this podcast.
Well, there's Charlie Brain who's asked a question. It's a good name, Charlie Brain.
It is.
Charlie Brain has said, "Hi guys, new subscriber to your Patreon here." Well, thanks, Charlie. But I've enjoyed your work for a long time. I was just thinking about my first playthrough of Mass Effect 2 and how I got it all wrong and ended up losing half my crew before the final mission, so I went back and restarted just so I could save everyone. I just wondered if there's been a game with multiple possible endings, where you went back and either played the full game or part of it to get a better ending. Thanks guys, and keep up the excellent work. Your podcast cheers me up every single week. Thank you, Charlie.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry, I'm just choking here.
You okay? You're in a little felt fort today, aren't you?
I am. Yeah, I don't think the felt fort did it, but I think it's just my water. So I've been trying to think of stuff where kind of actions in the middle of the game affect the ending. So I've certainly replayed games where there are different endings, perhaps based on like one decision near the end, or halfway through, like a single branching point. Like the Star Wars games often have those, where you can either go sort of down the light side or the dark side. Jedi Academy, I think Force Unleashed as well. So I've played those to get their different endings. But in terms of, I think what Charlie's talking about is, he got to a point where he realized, my ending's not going to be very good. And before he even got to the ending, he then sort of did a bit of a Prince of Persia Sands of Time and headed back in time to fix some of his previous mistakes. And I'm really trying to think if I've ever actually done that. I definitely do like quick saves and stuff when I'm playing Oblivion and Skyrim and Fallout, so that if I really balls up a dungeon or anything like that, I can go back and just use my quick save and do a better go around. But that doesn't affect the ending. So in all honesty, Not that I can think of is my answer. Not obviously so. I've definitely toyed with the broad idea, but there's not a standout answer for me really.
I've done it in various games for trophies. So Infamous, for example, has, a baddie and a goodie playthrough, much like the light side, dark side in Star Wars games. So I've played through, both of those endings for that. The main one that springs to mind for me is Persona 4 Golden. There's a decision near sort of the 2/3, 3/4 of the way through point of that game that can make the game end there early and just end. And I was aware that this decision was coming up, and somehow I still picked the stupid one. And it ends with everyone just sort of going, oh, cool, all right then, and then just fast forwards you to the end of the game where you get on the train and leave town and leave all your friends behind. And it was so depressing. It was so sad, because I was so in love with that game and all its characters and the world and so on. But the worst part, Peter, was that I then didn't realise I could reload from before the decision. And so I started a new game, and I saved it.
Oh no!
So I had to start all over again to get back to that decision, and it was pretty gut-wrenching, to be honest. But that is definitely a shining example of being forced to replay a game to make a decision so that I could actually just carry on playing it.
Yeah,
because I'm an idiot.
I've definitely. There's certainly lots of games where I've replayed levels and things, but I don't think I've ever had to start from the beginning. I've just thought Dishonored was another one. I think the more chaos you cause, the worse the ending gets, and also the more of the sort of shambling corpses, whatever they're called, clickers. The more clickers there are, walking around, and rat hordes and stuff. So I would often replay, or either restart levels or sort of use save points and stuff to make sure I was minimal on the bad stuff. But
absolutely,
yeah.
Cool. Well, there we go. First question down. Let's move on to something else.
Let's. It's called What We Playin.
Yay!
Yay!
It's What We Playin time. Time to talk about what we play. And Peter, what you playin'?
Well, as I think we talked about in the intro, and I've already forgotten, I have just moved house.
You haven't?
So
you didn't talk about that.
We didn't. It must have been me and you before we hit record. But I'm in a new house now, and so I've had all of my worldly possessions boxed up in boxes for several days. However, my PlayStation has been unpacked for 2 days now and hooked up to the TV, which gave me just enough time to play a little bit more of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2, which I'm thoroughly enjoying. I think the more time I spend with that game, the more I really think that it's just everything we wanted and needed in terms of, it's been so long since there's been I don't know. It would be cruel for me to say since there's been a good Tony Hawk's game, because in fairness, I've not played them since Thug 2. But
I don't think you'd be too far from the truth by saying.
Yeah, based on critical and consumer reception, I think that's probably fairly accurate. But yeah, it's just, as I've said, it feels exactly the same as it used to. It's nice to go back to all these old places. It's nice to create your own skate parks. It's nice to play split screen on the couch. And it's just everything that I wanted, or everything that I didn't even realize I wanted or needed. I wasn't consciously missing Tony Hawk's games, but having now sat down and spent many hours at this point playing those games, or that game I should say, it's just made me appreciate how much I enjoyed them back then and how much I'm enjoying it now, to be honest.
Amazing.
So that's been fun, just to fill the last couple of days. I have had a copy of Dreams through the post at last. I ordered that a while ago. It took ages for some reason, but so looking forward to playing that as well. And over Easter, during the C virus lockdown, I got a copy of Horizon Definitive Edition or whatever it's called, Horizon Everything Edition.
Yes.
So that has been in the queue for a little while, and I'm going to be moving on to that soon as well. But yeah, just Tony Hawk's this week and my stream of Crash 2, which was fun.
Wonderful.
Yeah. What about you, Ben? What are you playing?
Well, I've played a little bit more of Marvel's Avengers.
Oh, yes, of course.
I have finished the story, as I talked about last week. I've been playing some of the multiplayer stuff. And I know I said last time, is it even possible to matchmake with more than one other player? Because I've never done it. I did manage to matchmake with 2 other players. I've done it a couple of times now. I've found three of us, to play together. I did manage to once get a full lobby, right? But then the guy left, so...
I love how that is, like, newsworthy. Like, we've come to... We're talking about... On our video game podcast, we're discussing what games we've been playing, and you've had to come along and say, this just in, I temporarily had a 4-person team, and then someone left.
I came so close. That's the thing, though. It is genuinely shocking, and I can't believe it's due to a lack of players. I've got to believe that their matchmaking is really wonky. I can't imagine there aren't 3 other people in the world on PS4 that are trying to play the same mission as me. And bearing in mind that
not so soon after launch.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And bearing in mind that I've pretty much given up on playing the missions I want to play, and I've just selected Quick Match to just join me in with someone else. I played a lot of Wolfenstein Youngblood, and that was probably the worst game I played last year. The worst game I played in the last couple of years. Just really, really bad and poorly thought out. Let's turn it into a live service game. No, don't do that. So I'm okay with the mindless grind. Admittedly, I played a lot of Youngblood because there was nothing else out, and I didn't really have anything to play, and that was definitely the case with Avengers the past sort of week or so. So I played a fair amount of the multiplayer missions. Way more fun when you're playing with other players, but all the missions are constructed of the same basic elements, which is, stand here, destroy this, and then there'll be other options in your environment, like there's a chest nearby, there's a big bad boy nearby, there's a shield agent who needs your help nearby, go rescue them, and so on. It all plays out the same. You're either outside or in a lab, or it's the same environment just at night. It's all incredibly formulaic, and there's nothing really interesting there apart from just grinding out levels. I got my Black Widow is now level 40 something, and I believe the level cap is 50. So that didn't take too long at all to hit that level cap, and I'm assuming it's because, hey, play as all the heroes and get them all leveled up. But the main reason I play as Black Widow is because I think she's the only fun one to play as. So I don't know. I mean, I'm fairly sure that now there are lots of things coming out. I won't be going back to it either at all or for a while. So that's, getting up to level 50 with any of the characters is not really my concern anymore. But, the core gameplay loop is fine, and it is enjoyable and competently made. It's just, again, it's just not what... I don't think it's really what people wanted from an Avengers game. So...
No, you're right. It's a shame.
Boo to that. I've also played, courtesy of Private Division, The Outer Worlds Peril On Gorgon.
Oh, wonderful.
The new DLC. It is vast, and I must have put maybe 6 hours into it so far. It obviously involves the moon / asteroid / planet place called Gorgon, where one of the in-game corporations, because obviously the whole game is like a big satire on corporations and how everyone works for corporations and they die for their corporations and so on. One of the corporations was researching something there and then abandoned Gorgon in a hurry, and now it's overrun with marauders and horrible, twisted wildlife and stuff, and you've got to work out why. And it's suitably intriguing and delves into sort of the origin of marauders and where that even came from and stuff. And there's lots of, humorous writing in it, and it's very dark and just more just more Outer Worlds, really. Really good. I will say that it's obviously taken them a very long time to get it out, seeing as we're coming up nearly on the 1-year anniversary of the game's release. And so there was, for me, it was a lot of relearning how to play the game and where I was and what I was doing.
Right.
Because it's been a long time. This is a surprisingly long wait for the DLC. It's clearly been worth it, but I wish they would have maybe got it out sooner. Because
I'm hoping there'll be a bit of a catch up with Miles Morales as well.
Yes,
that they're not just going to expect us to remember all of the different abilities and things in Spider-Man.
Yeah, it's been a minute. So it's good. Basically, it's out now on all relevant devices, and you should go and play it. I liked it a lot. I'm right at the end of it now. There's a lot of reading in it because I always make sure to read all the terminals and stuff because they contain interesting information and tidbits about the world and so on. But because you're basically on a giant research facility, a lot of them are emails back and forth between various people, and it largely just echoes the same stuff over and over again. And because I have this compulsion to read it all just in case I miss something, there was I was finding myself getting really tired every time I found a terminal that I could read. And I didn't get that in the main game, but I did here because it was all sort of, just covering the same ground, but in different words. And it's like, I get it. People who worked here weren't happy. I get it, okay? I don't need to read it 12 times in, different words. But it's very good, and thank you to Private Division for sending a code. It's great. Out now. Go get it.
Wonderful. Very good. We could move on to question 2 then.
Yeah.
Would you like to read it, Ben?
Yeah, and it comes from the friendliest Lewis as well.
Oh, wow.
One of the friendliest. Hi guys, after 2 generations of Xbox, I'm making the big switch to PS5 this year. For reasons I can't quite put my finger on, I'm a little nervous for the transition. Do you think new console anxiety is a viable thing, or am I just being dramatic? Thanks guys. Love your channel. Go Walrus Clan.
Go Walrus Clan. Thanks, Lewis.
What a friendly Lewis.
Very friendly, yeah. I think there's something there. Definitely, I think change is weird, and I don't like change. I don't like sand. I've gone through the change twice now in my life. The sense that I went from PS2 to Xbox 360 and then 360 to PS4. So I flim-flammed. I think it was okay for me in the sense that while I had my PS2, my brother had an Xbox. We were lucky boys, and also I think another friend of mine had an Xbox as well. So I was kind of familiar with that going into 360. But then going from 360 to PS5, I definitely felt like there's a lot of stuff here that I've not played. I've missed out on some Sony exclusives that were really really big deal on the PS3, and I'm now going into a generation where there's presumably going to be sort of sequels and things coming out for games that I've not played. PS4 didn't have backwards compatibility, so I was a bit concerned that there would kind of be a gap there in my knowledge and my experience, and there still is to an extent. I've been playing catch up all this time, and I'm still behind on recent PS4 games because I'm still kind of doing other things and still catching up on other stuff, and also not playing games as much as I used to. So as I say, I still need to play Horizon and a couple of other things really. So I think there's definitely something in switching from one to another. I think if there was no such thing as exclusive games, I would say less so. All you're really doing is going from one controller to another effectively, which you'll have to slightly get used to, but even then they're laid out almost identically now. If not for exclusives, there wouldn't be much reason to be too concerned. But yeah, I think kind of feeling that there's that gap in your knowledge or things that you missed out on, and there's going to be sequels coming out for those IPs. That's going to make you feel a bit like a bit like the new kid at school, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I'd be very interested to know why Lewis is switching, and because this question was submitted before the pricing was announced for the PS5, so I don't know if that makes any difference to Lewis's decision. But either way, as we will discuss in the big discussion all about the PS5 event, there's certainly a PlayStation Plus offering at launch that will suit you right up if you missed out on all the PS4's best games. You know, they're largely included in there. We will talk in more detail about that shortly. But it does make sense. I think you put it best, Peter, when you said it's like being the new kid at school. I can only assume maybe Lewis already has friends who have PlayStations, in which case, he will, I'm sure, be welcomed into that online ecosystem and environment. But switching over and, not having any friends on there, that's a brave move. That's a trailblazer, because that's a big motivating factor to stick with a platform for a lot of people, is that all their friends have it. So
that's true,
they can play. I know cross-play is increasingly becoming the norm. But even so, you're not able to see when your friends are online and stuff, so that's definitely a factor. But yeah, there's I think that the PS5 is shaping up very nicely, and as it is backwards compatible with PS4, and there are some quite shocking omissions, really, in terms of the remasters available on PS4 for the PS3's best exclusives. There were still some incredible PS4 games, in fact, many incredible PS4 games that you will now be able to play. So at the very least, you'll have a relatively cheap and affordable library outside of what's going to be offered at launch anyway. If you wanted to stock up on PS4 games to play on PS5, and you'll have games for months and months to play.
Absolutely, yeah. That's good. Yeah. Should be exciting for you, Lewis.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a really exciting
try to be excited.
Time. I was so excited last night, like a little child man.
Yeah, little man baby.
Little tippy tappy feet. Me?
Yeah.
Just ready to throw away several months' rent. And
that's a weird thing to be excited about. It's very weird.
Yeah.
So that brings us nicely. I've not unpacked any.
No, you're just going to have to do your own Foley with your mouth.
I do have my mouth. I just said, when you said mouth, I said mouse at the same time, but it made me say mouth.
Oh dear.
Here we go.
Yeah, you ready?
Almost.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
It's time for weird news.
Weird news.
It's weird news. You're right.
Yeah. Just leave that out for the big discussion there.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah. It's weird news time. Welcome to Weird News. Time to talk about some gaming news. That is very weird. Peter.
Yeah.
I believe you've got some weird gaming news. Is that right?
Yeah, I've now got to navigate to it without a mouse mat. Here we go.
Oh, no. It's like living in the Stone Age.
It really is. It's actually from Vice this week. Vice.com. Written by Matthew Galt. Thank you, Matthew.
Thank you, Matthew.
Oh dear, here we go. A US Navy Twitch stream included jokes about Nagasaki and the N-word.
Are they still doing that? I thought the armed forces were no longer on. The US armed forces were famously bullied off Discord and Twitch, I thought, because people were rightly taking the piss out of them.
I mean, this write-up, in fact, I've just noticed this write-up was from the 14th of September, although I saw this originally yesterday at time of recording, which was the 16th of September. But yeah, this seems to be recent.
Weird. Okay.
Certainly within the last week. So, here we go.
Yep.
Goats and Glory, the US Navy esports team, played Among Us on Twitch this Saturday night and hosted other players who used the names Japan 1945, Nagasaki, and Gamer Word. Nagasaki and Japan 1945 are references to the US nuclear bombing of Japan at the end of World War II, and Gamer Word is a reference to the N-word. During the one... I had to look that up on Urban Dictionary. I don't quite understand how it is, but it is. So,
okay.
There you go. During the 1 hour, 17-minute long stream, Pepe the Frog Twitch chat emojis covered portions of the screen. A video of the... That's weird. I thought last time I read this, it said something about how that in itself is a problematic... Maybe it says it later on. Oh, it does. Yeah.
Okay.
It's just a little taster in the opening paragraph for you.
A little tease.
Yeah. A video of the stream is still up and has been viewed more than 1,000 times. And hundreds more views. That's hundreds more views than a typical US Navy Twitch stream. Personnel specialist Brandon Chandler was running the stream. "We're going to play Among Us with some of my close friends," Chandler said. Among Us is a multiplayer game where players take on roles on a space station. Most of the crew is trying to fix the station, but one person is an imposter, tasked with killing as many people as possible. Between rounds, the players vote to see who they think is the imposter. After the first round, the user in the game, named GamerWord, hadn't voted, and everyone was waiting on them. "Just waiting on you, individual," Chandler said, hiding his face from the camera. He laughs. "Don't say it," one of the other players said in a taunting voice while Chandler laughs. "Don't say his name, don't say it," a second player said. They weren't random people playing with Chandler, but people he described as close friends. To join a game of Among Us, players have to input a code that's on the host screen. Chandler gave the code to his friends and hid the image of the code on the public Twitch stream. Yeah, we don't need a full explanation of what this is. He hid it using a Pepe the Frog emoji to block it out. The legacy of Pepe the Frog is complicated, as he's a popular character on Twitch, but also listed as a hate symbol by the Anti-Defamation League. An hour into the stream, Chandler paused and switched out the map, and when the stream returned, the players' names had been changed. Gone was GamerWord, and the references to Nagasaki and Japan 1945. I'll just skip ahead because after that pretty much nothing happened, and then here we go. "It looks like we're going to have to end the stream a little early," Tessa L. Reed, another member of Goats and Glory, said, citing technical difficulties and a personal issue.
A personal issue.
Well, yeah, I think maybe they just said this is problematic and we want to end the stream now.
Yeah.
So they just said technical issues and a personal issue. So
Wow.
that's kind of what happened. After the events surrounding the stream of Among Us on Saturday night, where 3 non-Navy affiliated users decided to use extremely inappropriate in-game usernames, we have paused streaming and are re-evaluating how we vet users who are allowed to play with us on stream in an effort to ensure that this does not happen again, Commander Lara Bollinger of the US Navy Public Affairs Office told Motherboard in an email.
Wow.
So... yeah, there we go.
That is, that's just, man, it's just kind of disappointing, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
I think it might have been the US Army who used to stream /Discord, and then they either stopped for some reason. I'm not entirely sure. Basically, people started trolling them. I mean, for God's sake, right?
Yeah, you wouldn't even do that if you were just, kind of just an ordinary, non-affiliated with any one person. If you were just, if one of our listeners was doing their own Twitch streams, I'd like to think that they probably wouldn't have usernames Japan 1945 and GamerWord in their like lobbies. So to actually be affiliated with the Navy and still be doing it is a whole other thing.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
Not a good look.
No.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
I've got some weird. I do. I've got some weird news here. This is from Matthew Graneri, I believe. Okay. Thank you very much, Matthew, for he put this on Patreon for us.
Okay.
So I got this. This is from Kotaku and Ethan Gack. Pop-up ad for sex during Magic tournament shows why the game needs a spectator mode.
I've seen a screenshot of this on Twitter, but not read the write-up, so I'd love to hear all about it.
A porn spam bot was the icing on the cake during a Magic the Gathering arena tournament this weekend, in an event whose technical problems reminded us all that the digital card game's client desperately needs a spectator mode. "Hi, I'm looking for sex with a stranger," a fake DM from a no doubt very single local read during the mythic Invitational here. Is that right? I mean, C is nowhere near T, so maybe not. 2020 tournament over the weekend. That's because the tournament was relying on direct feeds from players' computers in order to stream the event online. Normally, online competitive games allow people to watch matches directly using separate feeds. Join your friends late in Overwatch? Want to see a Dota 2 tournament without the noisy shoutcasters? No problem. Both games and a lot of others have a spectator mode just for that purpose, but not Magic the Gathering Arena. Badgering the Arena.
Yeah.
Instead, the organisers of this year's mythic No, it says invitational this time. Invitational. Okay. Oh, Ethan had to rely on recording each player's screen individually. The tournament livestream was supposed to wrap up with play among the top 8 remaining competitors on Sunday at noon, but was delayed by half an hour, then several hours, and finally postponed altogether due to technical issues. The players continued, however, due to time zone differences, with the plan being to make the recording of those matches available later on.
Right.
And it goes on to talk about the pandemic throwing things into disarray, and then who went on to win the whole thing. And it says here, spectator mode would give fans a way to watch the game directly, whatever difficulties the live stream is experiencing. It would also save players from having to worry about what malware virus is going to get broadcast live.
Oh, dear me.
So there we are.
Dear me. Not good.
Really good. Hi, I'm looking for sex with a stranger.
That's just baffling that those messages even go out in the hopes of getting someone to respond. Who sees that message and thinks, number one, that it's a real person, and even if it was, who would be like, oh yeah, I'm up for that. I want sex with a stranger too.
Yeah,
there's nothing I want more
during these C-virus times.
Yes, exactly.
Give me that different kind of virus.
About to sneeze. Oh no!
Oh my goodness, bless you. Are you okay?
Oh. I sort of spoke through it. I was already saying the word sneeze when it was meant to happen, and then it didn't. So,
Oh dear.
I made it.
Let's move on to another question.
Let's. Oh.
You're right.
Yeah, this is from Callum Story, who says, bless you, Peter. Thank you, Callum.
Oh, Callum, well done.
He also says, Microsoft's secretive, supposedly quadruple A game studio, The Initiative, that's AAAA, are working on an unknown title possibly related to Perfect Dark. Given the all-star development team and the resources at their disposal, what would you expect to see from their debut game when it releases? And do you think Microsoft will announce the details early enough to impact the next-gen console war? So we've got some information here. This is from VG247. There's like an embedded tweet from I'm not sure who this is, who the tweeter actually is, but it says the unannounced project at The Initiative runs on Unreal Engine 4 and features various weapons, gadgets, and a camera surveillance system. This makes sense given most of the Xbox game studios work with the same engine to share tech and knowledge. And the write-up underneath. This confirms a variety of details about the Initiative's upcoming project, all of which are in sync with Perfect Dark. The designer in question, Christopher Ng, lists himself as an expert in blueprint programming in Unreal Engine 4. Ng is responsible for the supporting level designers, system designers, and engineers with scripting needs, and mentions that he has designed and scripted various weapons, gadgets, and a camera surveillance system for an unannounced project.
So this is, to give a little bit of context, because I could only copy so much without copying the entire article.
No, of course.
This is on someone's resume. Maybe their LinkedIn, I can't remember which, that this tweeter managed to find.
I see, yeah, they put a link to the LinkedIn underneath, yeah. Right.
So it's rumoured that people have been thinking that the Initiative are working on a Perfect Dark game for a while. Firstly, do you think that details of a next-gen, very exciting quadruple A Perfect Dark game will resonate with people?
It's difficult to say. I think Perfect Dark itself is kind of it's a very well loved game. It was, for those who don't know, as an N64 FPS. I think it was rare post GoldenEye. And so,
didn't they get the James Bond license taken away or something? And that's what
is that what happened?
I think that's what they made instead, and it was really good.
It was like, it's remembered in some ways. People who've played both, a lot of people remember it more fondly than GoldenEye. Obviously, GoldenEye probably had broader appeal because it's a James Bond game, but it's that kind of quality we're talking. Then there was nothing, and then I believe on 360 there was something out. There was a Perfect Dark. I don't know if it was just a proper sequel or if they kind of just sort of remastered the original or something like that. But so there was a big gap, then some Perfect Dark on 360 that the reason I don't know much about it is because I didn't play it because it didn't review very well. I don't think it was very successful or popular.
Yeah.
And since then, nothing. So, yeah, you raise a good point, which is that will Perfect Dark get enough people excited? I think the people who played the original Perfect Dark might be intrigued by this, but then there will be a lot of people in the Xbox market or sort of people who are on the fence about whether to get Xbox or PlayStation at next gen who won't necessarily know about Perfect Dark or be interested in it, or maybe their only point of reference for Perfect Dark is the 360 game, and therefore they might think, well, it's not that exciting. Perfect Dark, it wasn't very good, was it? So in that sense, Perfect Dark is a name. Some people will be interested, some people won't. But then in terms of this like quadruple A studio, to me, and maybe this is a different topic we can get onto in a minute when we're done talking about Perfect Dark, but to me that just sounds like, who are you to... Because they've called themselves that.
Yeah, it sounds like a fluff piece, doesn't it?
Yeah, it is ridiculous. It's like you can't just add an extra A to AAA and say, yeah, we've decided that we're the first quadruple A studio. Like
a re-reckoning, if you will.
Yes, exactly. I don't know what that is or what that means, but yeah, what do you think? Does Perfect Dark mean anything to you, really?
Well, I never played the original Perfect Dark, but I played obviously a very small bit of the Xbox 360 launch game, Perfect Dark Zero. I think that disappointed a lot of people. It's still reviewed well, but it's not what people wanted or were expecting after what was, in many people's eyes, a masterpiece, the original one.
Yeah.
I think you're right that too long has passed for the name Perfect Dark to mean anything to a mainstream audience.
Yeah.
People who liked Perfect Dark, I'm sure, will be beside themselves. Our very own James, senior editor, huge Perfect Dark fan. He'll be over the moon.
Is that right? I didn't know that.
Yeah, James is a big Perfect Dark fan.
Oh, excellent. Happy for him.
But at the end of the day, Microsoft desperately needs big budget, I'm not going to say quadruple A, triple A games, first party narrative driven triple A games. That's where their lineup is quite weak compared to PlayStation's. They need that. And it's not them pursuing that is not a bad thing either. If they pull this off, then that's great news for everyone, because it not only gives PlayStation something to strive for, but also gives Xbox fans something that they might have been missing out on for a while, which is not only a new Perfect Dark, but also a really, really good game. Ultimately, I feel like having Perfect Dark on the title will not affect this game's success one way or the other. It will be the quality of the game. And it could be called anything. The fact that it's got Perfect Dark might just be a cherry on top for some people, but if they make a really, really good spy game, then it doesn't matter what they call it. It's just, Perfect Dark might just be the fact that it's part of the Perfect Dark universe might just be a nice bonus for fans of the original games. And I feel like the name is irrelevant, really, and I really do hope that their quadruple A game studio manages to pull it off. I really.
You're
do.
right, because like kind of the only thing you get from making a sequel to our game is obviously the shared universe and narrative, which a lot of people won't be familiar with at this point because they've not played the originals, or the way that a game plays and the sort of style of it and stuff. But so much time has passed that the whole way that we do first-person shooters is going to be completely different to they're completely different things at this point in terms of the way they run, the way they look, the way they play, probably even the control scheme. So in that respect, it's not directly tied either. It's only sort of tied by the first-person shooter perspective. So in a sense, there's, for a lot of people who aren't familiar with the universe, like nothing is going to be carried over that they can relate to from the old game, because it will play different and it's a world that they don't know. So it will just come down to how good the game is. I think you're right. Yeah,
it's like PlayStation announcing I'm not comparing the quality of these two franchises, but it's like PlayStation announcing a new SOCOM game or a Siphon Filter game or something.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like,
that. Yeah,
fans of the original will be like, "Oh, cool, a new one of these that I used to like." But everyone else will be like, "Well, if it's, I'll play it if it's a good game." But the fact that it's SOCOM doesn't bother me. It doesn't make me excited. Yeah, they've sort of slept on that IP for long enough now that it doesn't, that may not connect with people the way that it once did. But
yeah,
again, it doesn't matter what they call it as long as they make a really good game. And if there are as many A's crammed into this studio as they say there are, then there's a good chance they'll make something really good, and that is what will carry the game.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah.
Right, it's time, Peter.
Mm-hmm.
Are you ready?
I've got it. Yeah.
It's time for a big discussion.
Very big discussion.
Big discussion time, and of course we are talking about the PS5 Showcase from Wednesday night. We've got prices, we've got release dates, we've got more concrete information about the games, we got some new reveals, we got some gameplay footage. It all went off. Before we do have a couple of questions from the patrons about it, which I think we should probably do at the end once we've gone through what happened at the showcase. But first impressions, Peter, were you impressed by it?
I was impressed by it. I'm very excited. There are certain games that I was very impressed by that we'll get through sort of on an individual basis in a moment, I think. But yeah, just very, very excited. I think the price, they were right to, they're perfectly justified in simply matching Xbox at this point. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we'll talk about that as well in a minute. But very excited, broadly speaking, and you were too, I'm sure.
Yes, absolutely. This was, I tried to word it in a tweet, but I just couldn't get the language right. So I'm just going to say a lot of words in a sentence, and hopefully they make sense to you.
Okay.
But PlayStation is continuing to make me feel and look like an idiot, because every time that they are quiet for an extended period of time and you're left here pulling your hair out and despairing and thinking, when are they going to announce it? Come on, what's going on over there? Oh, it's all going wrong. Oh no, there's disaster. Oh no, it's going to be really expensive. Oh, yeah. It's all going wrong. They then come out and pull out the second consecutive very strong presentation, and I just feel stupid for doubting them. Not that I implicitly trust a corporation or anything like that, but they have now twice in a row made me feel quite silly for being worried that things were going wrong. They've come out and just put everything to bed and be like, no, it's fine.
It's fine, don't worry.
Don't worry, it's God of War, don't worry, shut up.
I think they just kind of know that they've just got such a strong hand and have had such a strong hand for so long that they're sitting at the end of the poker table just being almost a bit of a dick, but you kind of don't mind because they've got a royal flush or whatever,
Right, a royal flush that gives you lots of nice games.
You win some of their winnings for some reason. Absolutely.
We probably won't talk too much about the Series S in this big discussion, obviously. We're just going to focus on PS5 here, but that price is still definitely a factor, regardless of everything we're about to discuss and all the games and the competitive pricing comparatively. That $299 is still going to be a huge game changer for a lot of people. So
for sure, yeah.
Anyway, let's get into it. Would you like to get us started, Peter?
Yeah. So they opened with a confirmation and a first look at Final Fantasy 16.
16, that's the one.
XVI 16.
Yeah.
I must admit, actually, at first, and maybe it was just my stream quality, but which seemed to get better as it went, but some of the initial shots in this thing I thought didn't actually look that mind-blowing to me. And then as the trailer went on, it looked better and better. Because I'm not very familiar with Final Fantasy games, and I could kind of tell that it was a Final Fantasy from the get-go. And looking at it, I was like, is this a remaster? It's certainly not a remake. It just looks like they've sort of remastered an old game here, because I thought occasionally it didn't look great, but then sort of by the end it did. It was weird. It was like they showed some early footage, and then by the end they showed up-to-date footage. It was kind of strange, but overall it looks good. As I say, I'm not much of a Final Fantasy fan. I'm not a Final fan, but I thought by the end of the trailer, I thought, okay, no, that does look visually, as good as it needs to. I don't know if you thought the same.
No, I'm inclined to agree. I'd originally thought I wasn't, because I didn't expect them to announce a full big boy Final Fantasy game.
No, I
thought
didn't.
maybe it was some kind of spin-off. We've got billions of those. I thought it looked a bit MMO-ish in the graphics to begin with.
Yeah.
The character models and the facial animation and stuff. I thought this isn't anything particularly mind-blowing. I thought Final Fantasy 15 actually looked better than that. But you're right, as we got into the effects and the combat and stuff that it showed off, it did get more and more impressive as it went. Huge news that it's a PlayStation exclusive. Or as it says in this terrible, terrible Sky News write-up, PlatStation.
It does, doesn't it?
This guy who wrote this he clearly doesn't know games very well, but he's written it all in chronological order, which a lot of websites can't.
He's also put knights riding on chocobos, but he's missed off the K on knights.
Oh Christ! That's
God. We've started strong here, haven't we?
Really strong. Anyway, it's coming to PC as well, but it will be a console exclusive on PS5. That is very, very big news. That's a real game changer, and it appears to be, as it says here, a medieval themed Final Fantasy again, returning to those themes rather than sort of the futuristic setting we've had for the past couple of Final Fantasies.
Yeah.
So I'm all for it. There wasn't really anything interesting to be gleaned from the trailer in terms of story. It's going to be complete waffle, I imagine. But as long as it's a bit more coherent than Final Fantasy 15, which obviously had a hugely protracted development and went through several cycles and scraps and redesigns and so on, then hopefully it'll just make a bit more sense, because Final Fantasy 15 was kind of all over the place in terms of its story, and they cut out bits of it and put it in as DLC, which was also very cool. But Final Fantasy 16, that's big.
It is big. If you want to read the next game in this Sky News write-up and read the opening sentence.
The announcement was one of the biggest surprises of the night back in March.
Oh, see, he does know what he's talking about.
Surely.
He knows this was already announced.
Spider-Man Miles Morales. Yeah, this guy he's trying to do hot takes, and we'll sprinkle some in as we go, because some of them are really, really dreadful. But that's probably one of the weaker ones, talking about a game that's already been announced.
Yeah.
It was like, huge surprise. It's like, where were you on the last one where it was formally announced? Where was
Back in March.
It wasn't even March when it was announced. That was probably when it was leaked, but I don't know what this guy's doing. Anyway, we got to see some gameplay of Miles Morales, and it's pretty, isn't it?
Oh, it is. It certainly is. This is a minor niggle. I do wonder whether the sort of amber effects that come up whenever you do any hit are going to slightly irritate me after a while. It just seems a bit, don't know, like Devil May Cry or something. But apart from that, I had no complaints. I was looking for something to just say, maybe not that. But no, just it's a bit like playing Tekken. Lots of visual effects whenever you do a punch, but but no, it looks incredible, and the whole sequence was great. It reminded me of the first Tom Holland Spider-Man film, actually, when he's holding that boat together with the spider webs. Was it a boat that was like splitting in half?
That was what he did in Homecoming. And that's a famous scene from a comic that I can't remember, but here he's holding the bridge together. Pulling in that Spider-Man iconography into the games. That's fun. The music was great as well. I really liked the combat music with the beat behind it was really good. And God, what was I going to say? I can't even remember now. It just looks really good. It just looks great, and I don't think there'll be anything particularly wrong with it, apart from the fact that it might just be more Spider-Man. But he's got new powers, and he can do. It seems like they've really amped up the cinematography during the combat sequences in terms of I don't want to say kill moves, but you know what I mean, like the big impact moves. There's lots of flipping and webbing people up and flipping them with the camera going all over the place. My voice is going. It's really cool. He doesn't seem to... I know they were on a bridge and water was technically below them, but you have to imagine very far below them. He didn't seem to have the same qualms as Peter Parker about sending guys flying off structures.
I guess so. Yeah. True.
Because they were webbed automatically to the walls if you knocked them off buildings.
Yeah, they used to stick to buildings. That was good. I like that.
In this one, the guy just got yeeted and he went. Off he goes.
True. Yeah. Maybe he's got a different morality system. Miles morality.
Oh, there it is. Very nice. I'd be okay with that. I'm not fussed. But looks brilliant. We are slowly getting confirmation here and there about what the launch lineup actually is. I don't know if it's confirmed yet where this will slide into things, but I'll have a quick cursory look before the end of the podcast just to check. I think the Sackboy's Adventure, which wasn't at this conference, that's been confirmed now as a launch game.
That's launch, yeah.
So we'll keep going. There's now an update here from our Skyman here. He says, time is moving on. 10 minutes in and we've only seen 2 games. Do they look good? Absolutely. But will it be enough to keep fans happy if Sony doesn't confirm the price and release date? He's just writing words, isn't he?
That's it. Just a little update there at 21:12.
While he should have been watching Miles Morales.
Yeah, he got bored. But then at 9:17, Hogwarts Legacy. Oh, yes. I think this looks really good.
Yeah, it does.
I'm so excited for this game, and I'm not. I know I've played the first 2, the PS1 Harry Potter games on stream and stuff, and that seems to now be synonymous with me in that, like, I keep getting tagged in stuff all the time about PS1 Hagrid and just stuff. People always send me stuff on Twitter, which is fine. Yeah. But outside of those 2 games, I'm not like a huge Harry Potter fan necessarily. I've read them all. I've seen them all. They're good. I enjoy them. But, only in the same way that, James Bond is pretty good and, stuff like that. But this, I think, whether or not you like Harry Potter, looks like a really good game. Yeah. My immediate thoughts were that it reminds me of Bully, in that you've got a school to explore and a town outside the school, and you're going to be going to your classes, but also have relationships with different students and stuff. And I did a tweet about it as I was watching it, and someone whose name I don't have to hand immediately replied and said, "Bully with magic." And I was like, yeah, that's it. That's what it seems to be. So I think it looks great to me.
Yeah.
And this, of course, this was the first official announcement of it, wasn't it? But we've known about this for a long time, really. There's been all kinds of leaks. There's been actual footage, like kind of sneakily filmed from mobile phones on screens in the studio somewhere and things like that. So we've known about this for a long time, but yeah.
It's a wizard RPG. I think this is what people have been wanting from a Harry Potter game for the longest time, ever since those PS1 games really outdid themselves based on a movie license. And this obviously is not necessarily based on the movie license, but it is set in the 1800s, which also I think lends itself a unique sort of level of whimsy that already exists in the Harry Potter universe. Obviously, I don't want to go without addressing in passing the controversy surrounding J.K. Rowling at the moment. I don't imagine she's involved in this. I think this appears to be totally separate, but certainly as a game, I'm kind of looking forward to this. I saw it and thought, oh wow, I'm actually, I will play that. If it's good, I'll play that.
Yeah, the 1800s thing definitely is a good idea, because it means it's set before any of the characters that we know about. It's set before Voldemort, so you don't have all that baggage where if you set it in modern times, people would still be talking about what happened back in the 1990s, or they'd be talking about Harry and Ron and Hermione and whatever jobs they're in now at the Ministry of Magic or whatever. So you don't have to worry about all that. It does seem to have some links with the movies, and the theme tune they were using was John Williams's melody.
It was sort of remixed slightly, wasn't it, into sort of dun 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 dun.
Yeah, it was
weird movie trailer stuff.
But yeah, also just to touch on the J.K. Rowling stuff, I think you're right that you've got to question how much involvement, if any, she has with this, and how much some people are saying, I don't want to support this because she'll be getting royalties from it, and I can see the argument there, and I'm not saying that that's not the correct thing to do, but also there's a team of developers who've been working on this for years and years and years, who unfortunately for them, it's not their fault what J.K. Rowling's been saying, and in the same way that the cast have addressed it on Twitter and they've got their own opinions. They've said, I don't agree with what she said. I'd like to think that most of the studio or all of the studio don't necessarily agree with what she said. So it's kind of up to the consumer to what they want to do in terms of supporting this game or not. So
absolutely,
that's kind of up to everyone on an individual basis, I think.
Yeah. Sure.
That's something to consider.
Absolutely. Yeah. I've got an article here from Push Square about launch games. Demon Souls, Destruction All Stars, Devil May Cry 5 Special Edition, Godfall, Miles Morales Spider-Man, and Sackboy: A Big Adventure are the confirmed launch games beyond the third party stuff like Assassin's Creed and so on. But there's a few pretty big boys in there.
They are.
That's some exciting
I think one of the
stuff.
questions we're answering in a moment is what we're most excited about in terms of launch titles as well. So.
Okay, I see. Well, let's carry on moving on up then. Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. I think I'm going to get this as well. I really liked Black Ops. Call of Duty Black Ops, the original one, is I think either tying or very close to surpassing Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare for me. I loved the campaign of that game, and the multiplayer I played the hell out of. The zombies was fantastic. I think I bought all the DLC for it. So as they took it in a more futuristic direction, I got less and less interested in it, and now it's properly returned to sort of that time period during the Cold War, obviously. And God, if it isn't just a Michael Bay action movie that you can play through, I don't know how else to describe it. It's so over the top, but I do love that. And I've sort of fallen back in love with Call of Duty this past year, playing a lot of Warzone. And I think I will. I think I'll get it. I think I will play this. Our Skyman says, am I wrong to feel like all Call of Duty games are the same? There is a poll. I'm going to vote in it. It's 52 to 48 no to yes. So the vote is split.
Right.
The vote is split on that one.
I like how he said the way he's written it up is Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War confirmed for PS5, as though there was any doubt.
Yes, it's coming. Available. Oh boy. So that looks good. Don't really need to discuss that too much, but it's Call of Duty. It's Call of Duty.
It's Call of Duty. They've always done good stories when they've actually done them, and campaign modes. I mean, and the only thing I was surprised by was that in the 1980s there was an RC car that could drive as fast as a plane. But you know it, bud. It's like that Fast and the Furious film where they've got the world's longest runway. Yes, it is. They've been chasing that plane for over 20 minutes now. It's just as long as you need it to be for the action sequence to be what you need.
Absolutely. It's a special Black Ops RC car, Peter. You wouldn't understand.
No. I mean, the military they've always had secret stuff. So those RC cars go back a long time. They go back decades, seemingly.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, they were in the original game as well. I don't think they were that fast, though.
No.
Anyway, Deathloop.
Yeah, do you know what? Deathloop. I can't get behind this for some reason. We've seen a fair bit of Deathloop now, and it's by the same people who've made Dishonored and what else did they do? Dishonored and
Prey.
Yeah,
Arcane
too. Arcane, yes. And I don't know. I think I'm just still a little bit confused. I mean, I've not gone out of my way to read up on it. I've only watched what they've shown us at these events. But I'm actually still a little bit confused as to how it plays and to whether it actually has, a proper narrative story to it, or if it's a series of challenges, or if it's I don't even know if it's multiplayer only or single player or a single player option. I know there's multiplayer available to it, but I should read up more on this game, I guess. But I guess the reason is that I've watched what has been revealed so far, and it's not really made me want to read up on it for some reason. I don't know what it is, because it looks broadly like Dishonored, but just with a different aesthetic, and obviously the whole death looping aspect. But for some reason, it's not grabbing me. I don't know about you.
I really liked the concept, and I thought the trailer did a very good job of explaining the concept this time around.
Right.
And I liked the visual style of it. I get very big We Happy Few vibes from the design of the characters and stuff. But you are right. You do raise a very good point. What, like, is that it? Do you just have to kill the 8 targets, and it's sort of like almost like a roguelike where you just
Different
play
challenges,
again and again and just play it in different ways, or it's difficult to say. You know, when you're approaching a game like that, it doesn't lend itself to a linear narrative structure, which is fine. But if so, then it might not be everyone's cup of tea, because you will technically just be playing basically the same mission over and over again, doing it in different ways to try and be as efficient as possible, which is cool. Again, a very cool idea. Don't know if it's necessarily something that I want to do, but I do like the concept. I think that's really fun.
People will be posting some really good runs of certain missions, I'm sure. You know, they'll be putting videos online of them jumping around and really planning some awesome stuff. They're already doing it with the Dishonored games, where they'll like throw one of those spring traps and then use a load of like time slowdown, and about 2 minutes later it lands and kills a guy like on the other side of the map and stuff like that. It's all very clever stuff, so it really lends itself to that kind of thing.
100%. I skipped past here, Peter, the Resident Evil 8 trailer.
Resident Evil 8 trailer. God, how far up have you skipped?
Well, I skipped up to Deathloop because that was the big chunk. He's just up here in our little document.
Oh, I see. In the write-up, he's put
there's
one
a new
line.
Resident Evil game, not a Silent Hill reboot. Apologies for the error. So maybe he actually wrote quite an extensive piece about a Silent Hill reboot before realizing he was completely wrong.
And it's a single line that we accidentally skipped over.
Yes. So now that's the only mention of Resi 8 in there.
Yeah, Resi 8. Oh, man. This looks great. I'm really excited.
Very spooky.
It does. Resident Evil Village.
Yes.
I'm still really hoping that it will have some kind of tie to Resi 4. It being a spooky village in Europe underneath a castle. I think we're fairly sure that it's not the same place, because I'm pretty sure in the first trailer we got of this, they weren't speaking Spanish. They were speaking some other language, and we may have even been told what nation it's actually in. Maybe we weren't, but I think it's been. I think people have gleaned from it that it's not in Spain, therefore not the same village.
Yeah.
However, they could still tie it together by having the parasites from Resi 4. That's what causes the zombies in that game. This could just be another parasite-ridden village in Europe. And in the recent Resi 3 remake, they threw in a reference to the parasites that wasn't in the original version of that game. So that has tied Resi 3 and Resi 4 together. This looks great. There's a sort of witchy character. There was also that strange fairy tale like thing that they put together. That was like out of the last Harry Potter movie, wasn't it? Where you sort of...
Oh, yeah, the weird animated bit.
Yeah, the style just changes for a few minutes completely. And it was like a little girl running off into the woods who I'm guessing probably became the witch or something.
Yeah, something good happened to her, I'm sure.
Yeah, so looks very spooky, but yeah, really hoping it ties in with Resi 4 in some way.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, we will see. I don't know if I'll have the bravery to play it myself, but I'm certainly very interested in seeing it played. I would like to see that game. We'll quickly go through this next one. Devil May Cry 5 is getting some sort of Ultimate Edition coming to PS5. Going to be a launch game, so there we go. Oddworld Soulstorm.
Yeah, you played any Oddworld games?
No, I'm not really interested in Oddworld, but I know people are very excited about this one.
Yeah, definitely. I've not played any of them in full. I've sort of dabbled in Abe's Odyssey. I think this looks good, and I might actually give it a go. If so, it might be the first Oddworld game that I ever played to completion. I think it looks really good, but I don't have any any history with the series, so not sure.
Five Nights
at Freddy's.
Yeah, oh, Jinx. Now you've got to spend a night at Freddy's.
Oh, no.
That genuinely looked a bit spooky, that one.
It did.
I've never played or even watched footage of Five Nights at Freddy's, but from what I understand, is it not just practically a browser game where you just sort of click between monitors or something?
Yeah, almost. It's kind of fixed. You're just sat at a desk. You're like the security guard for effectively a Chuck E. Cheese, but it's a Freddy's something or other.
Yeah.
The animatronics obviously come to life and try and kill you. But this, I know we didn't see any gameplay, but I think by implication, and the fact that there was a 3D environment mapped there in that trailer, I think this might be you not stuck to your chair. I think you're going to be moving around here.
Well, it sounds like you're playing as a child as well, judging by how the terrifying not GLaDOS AI was addressing you.
And there was like a Kratos kind of dad voice that said something about we need to move, or I can't remember what he said now, but he addressed the child. Boy.
That's the thing. Like, again, I'm not going to play this. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
But I do like the idea of horror games with clearly Five Nights at Freddy's very, very successful, and I'm not taking anything away from that. But not only would that game not interest me because it's spooky, but also because it's sort of the gameplay doesn't really change, just where the spooks come from does. Whereas this might be a little more narratively driven and dynamic. I'm all for that, and that sounds way more interesting to me.
Something that's also a little bit spooky. Would you like to tell us about the next game, Ben?
Well, I want to let Skyman tell us about the game.
Oh, okay, sure.
He really knows what Demon Souls is. Are you ready?
Yeah.
What to make of this bit of gameplay? There was a knight roaming around an open world. All right, mostly a ruined castle, it says in brackets, killing the living and undead alike and absorbing their souls? It's hard
Question mark?
Sorry?
Question mark? Souls?
It's hard to know exactly what was going on here, certainly in terms of story. But this looks like a very atmospheric sword and shield action game, it says. Oh, and there was a gigantic monster with 3 glowing eyes the player died against. This man has never heard of a Souls game before, I don't think.
It's hard to know exactly what was going on here in this game that is effectively already out, and you could very easily just look up everything that goes on in that game.
Peter, it's not just a game. It's an atmospheric sword and shield action game.
It is one of those.
That's what it says
and there was also
box.
a gigantic monster in it that the player died against.
I do like that. When you die in Demon's Souls, it just says you died against instead.
You died against gigantic monster with 3 glowing eyes.
Holy crap, this looked really, really, really good.
It does look good.
Graphically, the sound design. Here's something that I was thinking when I was watching it. Is that obviously this is being remade by Blue Point Games, a Western studio, and Demon's Souls was a collaboration between Studio Japan and From Software. And they're working with Studio Japan to make this game, obviously to make it authentic. But the Soulsborne games, even the new ones, even Bloodborne, have an element of sort of janky charm. Even though they're very shiny and very good looking, there's always something that makes them feel uniquely Japanese that you wouldn't necessarily get in a Western game. And with this Blue Point remake, certainly in the gameplay that we saw last night, it just looks like it's had all of those rough edges shaved off. And I'm not saying that that's a criticism at all. I'm saying it feels incredibly, to borrow a phrase from Sky Newsman, atmospheric. Like, it really does. The sound design was incredible. Like, it just felt really overbearing and spooky and ominous. And I know they weren't playing with HUD on for whatever reason to amplify that. But it looks fantastic. It looks really, really good, and I am so excited for this game. The fact it's a launch game is kind of makes me sad because I probably won't touch SpiderMan for a while. It's too difficult. There's too much. It's too much.
It looked very smooth, I thought, the movement. He looked like he was a lot more mobile than in the Dark Souls games and in Bloodborne. He looked like he was just able to sort of skip around a little bit more, which is what you want in a game like that with all your dodge rolling and so on.
Yeah, that's exactly what I mean by sort of Western polish. In those games, when I say jankiness, I mean being able to twirl the left analog stick around really fast and just spinning on the spot, without the character actually turning at all. That's fun. This strikes me as this kind of remake and this redesign of the gameplay, although I imagine it'll be very faithful because their Bluepoint are very good at that. I imagine you won't see much of that stuff anymore, which may upset some people, but at the same time, I'm all for it. I think it looks really great. It's like a Western sort of just a Western-inspired version of Demon's Souls, and that really appeals to me, and I really like the look of this.
Yeah, I feel like it being a launch title, I'm probably more likely than I would be if it wasn't a launch title to play this, because some of the other launch games I'm not actually super interested in. Others I very much am, but this might be one where I get my console and I'm like, right, I want to play something on this. I'm gonna give this a go. If it wasn't a launch title, I don't know if I would try it, simply because I'm not so into my Soulsborne games. They're too hard for me, and I don't want to put the time in. And as even now, like especially now, I always used to play games on normal mode. I've now taken to playing games on easier modes at this point, because I just want to. I generally now play for story and like fun action sequences. I don't play so much for challenge these days. I still like a bit of a challenge. Don't want it to be a cakewalk, but I think Soulsborne games have always been too difficult for me, and so I'm not chomping at the bit for this game purely because of that. But on the other hand, looking at it very objectively, it just it does look like an incredible game if you put aside the inevitable difficulty spikes. But
for what it's worth,
great either way.
It is one of the easier Souls games as well. It's just, but then again, that's with the benefit of playing all of the other ones. So there's always a learning curve, obviously.
Either way though, it looks very good.
It does look really good. Very excited for that. They have controversially changed the "you died" animation, which may ruffle some feathers.
Goodness
but
me.
It looks like they're open to feedback. I know it might be a bit late to change it now, but the flame lurker, the fire boss that they've showed in the previous trailer, that they did a slight redesign to the eyes and the general head shape of that, and that upset some people. And it looks like in this one that it's changed. So they're paying attention. I mean, I'm not fussed really either way at all, because that's just such a minor thing. But it is. I did notice that. I did spot that the "you died" animation is different. Oh no!
People get bothered by that sort of thing.
They do.
Definitely.
They really do.
Yeah. Up next, we learned that Fortnite will be available on PS5 at launch. So that's good for those people who play Fortnite.
Yeah, children.
Children who have their dad's or mum's credit card. So that's good. But the very exciting thing, I thought, up next, we've touched on it already, is the PlayStation Plus collection.
Yes. Now, this is... I hope they go into more detail before we talk about what it is. I hope they go into more detail about what it is, because I don't know if this is just a limited time thing or if it's going to expand over time, a la Games Pass, or what it is. But you will... I don't know if you have the full list to hand, Peter, of games that are on it.
Actually,
if you want to quickly look that up while I explain what it is.
Yeah, I will do.
But basically, at launch, it is a collection of some of the best PS4 games for free, or at least as part of your PlayStation Plus subscription at launch. So that is huge, not only to people who are switching to PS5, who missed out on PS4, like one of our listeners asked earlier. Let me just get the document back up to remind myself who that was. It was Friendly Lewis. There we go.
Friendly Lewis.
So not only will Friendly Lewis be able to experience the vast majority of the biggest PS4 games, many of them exclusive and first party, but also it will allow people who perhaps missed out on a couple of those games to play them. I haven't played Days Gone. Can't say that I will play Days Gone, but I will certainly, I will certainly add it to my library, so I've got it. And I feel like that's another really big incentive, for people to get the PS5 if they missed out on these games.
It is. It feels like they're trying to answer to an extent to what Xbox has on offer with its backwards compatibility and Game Pass and so on. They're saying, well, we can't suddenly necessarily make everything backwards compatible or make all these games free for a monthly fee and build that whole infrastructure. But hey, here's a selection of games you can play on Plus. I've got them here. Mm-hmm. We've got Batman Arkham Knight, Battlefield 1, Bloodborne, Days Gone, Detroit Become Human, Fallout 4, Final Fantasy 15, God of War, Infamous Second Son, Monster Hunter World, Mortal Kombat 10, or X, Persona 5, Ratchet & Clank, Resi 7, Biohazard, The Last Guardian, Last of Us Remastered, Uncharted 4, A Thief's End, and Until Dawn. That's a lot of games there.
That is a lot of games.
Yeah.
Very impressive offering. And we do have a question about it, so we will chat a bit more in detail about it. But on the whole, I think I wasn't expecting that. They didn't have to do that, and that's
no.
I've got to imagine that's going to appeal to someone. I don't know how it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really. Very good stuff.
It appeals to me. There's some games on there that I've not played, and I'm looking forward to playing when I get my PS5.
Yeah, definitely. The big moment, Peter, as successfully predicted on last week's podcast, they price matched the Xbox Series X for the disc version at $499, and they managed to split the difference between the Xbox Series S and the X at $399 for the digital edition. So they managed to make it a whole $100 cheaper, and that's £449 and £359. Sorry, for the in the UK.
In pounds, yeah.
And we do have to wait a week. The 19th of November in the UK.
Yeah, and the rest of the world, it said. We were bundled in with the rest of the world because who else? Everyone. I'm trying to think of all the places getting it in the earlier time.
Europe
isn't, US, Australia.
Yeah, Europe isn't in the first wave.
All of Europe, was it?
No, as in none of Europe was in the first wave that week earlier.
Yeah. All of Europe is getting it second wave.
So that's the 12th, right? The 12th of November, and I think that's 2 days after the Xbox releases. And obviously, they opened pre-orders last night, which was a complete chaotic mess. But they have managed to, I think, get ahead of Xbox's pre-order date, which may end up being far more organized and the correct way to do it, but they have at least, they've got ahead of Xbox. I don't know if that was their intention in terms of opening up pre-orders almost immediately, but the messaging was very confusing.
Yeah, and it's about time. I didn't mind so much like waiting for the price itself to be confirmed, because I knew that like these consoles would be out holiday 2020. They'd already said that. We knew that from game release dates and stuff for next gen games. But one thing that has bothered me is that like pre-orders weren't made available until now, because now there's only like a month and a bit, or well, I guess 2 months left to get our pre-orders in, and I'm worried now that there's not going to be enough to go around. I've seen like little bits of articles and rumors and stuff saying that the PS5 has like cut back on production, and that there might be some limits and shortages in certain places. So that's slightly concerning if that, because Sony and Microsoft have sat on this for so long, we've only got a couple months left now to get our pre-orders in and for them to make sure they've got enough stock out there. But, hopefully it'll be okay.
It seems like stock is extremely limited. They've been selling out really, or at least pre-orders they say they're sold out of pre-orders in a number of UK outlets almost immediately. Amazon, I think it was on there for about 10-15 minutes this morning before the disc version went, and then they put the discless version up. But the rollout's been just a mess. The game went up early, as I said at the start of the podcast, and they weren't selling their accessories separately to begin with. It was just, would you like a console with this accessory, all the accessories, and so on and so forth. So you could just buy them all together. And then they slowly started releasing them. Amazon then listed, and then Smith's Toys, for some reason, listed the console and the accessories. Amazon listed the console, and if you Googled the accessory, it would show an Amazon link, but when you clicked on it, it wasn't live yet, and it was just a total mess, and there was no there was no structured rollout of pre-ordering, and I think a lot of people are going to be burned by this, which is, sad. But that price is exactly what I was hoping for. I think we're in agreement. If they went over $500, they'd be kind of screwed. And now they have that option. They can at least say, hey, with our full-fat console is the same price as the full-fat Xbox Series X console, but look at all these games.
Whereas Xbox will be saying, but look at Game Pass.
Which is that's a compelling argument to a lot of people.
Yeah.
And again, just incredible value. And the Series S, again, will be incredible value. And that is going to sell people on it by virtue of that alone. But very impressed by this conference again. I love that now the following point after the price is, that's it. Thank you all for joining us, as though that was it and that nothing else important happened after the price announcement. I think he just went to bed at that point.
Yeah, he
Good
did.
Night,
he was like, right, it's 10 o'clock, I'm off to bed. Also, at the very top of the article, it says, key points. Sony showcased the upcoming PlayStation 5 console during the 9 p.m. stream. 2 versions announced, a digital edition and one with a Blu-ray drive.
That was not what was announced tonight.
Why you can trust Sky News. It's
above it. Yeah, it does say that.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
They announced 2 versions, one with a drive. Tonight. Yeah.
So not a great write-up, but, at least it's here chronologically, which was helpful. Thank you, Sky Man.
That's why we picked it.
Thank you, Sky Man. Right, let's get these questions answered then. First, we've got... Let me scroll.
No, hang on. Don't Alex Martin us.
Oh.
You've missed... That's not it. That's it, Ben. There was an announcement after the price, of course. Wasn't there? A little tease.
Oh, God, yeah, he's not even put it in here.
No, that's what I'm saying.
I see.
That's it.
Oh, for goodness sake. Yeah, that's not it. Okay, no, he just clocked off as soon as they showed the price. Of course, they teased the new God of War. Apparently it's coming out next year. Ragnarok is a fantastic name, and I'm glad Assassin's Creed didn't use it in the end.
Yeah, that would be really awkward, wouldn't it?
Maybe they had words.
The Norse game.
They might have genuinely had words, given how long it was called Ragnarok in development, Assassin's Creed Valhalla. We heard big angry boy Kratos say, you need to be ready, boy. I'm assuming he's talking to the boy. I don't know who else he'd be talking to. Mimir, maybe, the head man.
Maybe.
But hugely exciting. We knew it was happening. It's confirmed. I don't know that Corey Barlog is actually involved in this one, and I hopefully that won't affect it too much. But apparently they're targeting next year, the same year as Horizon Forbidden West, which apparently is also coming to PS4, which is a bit disappointing because that means it won't hit its full potential on PS5. But it's still going to look beautiful, and very excited for both of those. Holy crap.
Yeah, huge. We got, apparently the runes do say Ragnarok
on
the little, and we got the serpent that surrounds the world, that fella.
Irgonsr or something.
Yeah, that one.
I can't remember what it's called, and I also can't remember how to pronounce it. So
no, but that is it. There we go. That's it. So you're right. We then have some questions to quickly address.
Yes. First, we've got Richard Major. What games will you be getting with your PS5, and which version of the console? We'll just quickly answer that. I'm going to get Disc and Spidey and Demon's Souls, probably.
Yeah, I'm going to get Disc and certainly Spidey, and as I say, probably Demon's Souls, just because I'll want a second game to play, and that's probably the most interesting to me.
Nice.
Even though I'm not a big fan of the series.
Richard is pretty sure he'll get the disc version for 2 reasons. 1, it'll be my only DVD/Blu-ray player, and 2, I think Sony will only ever sell brand new games at RRP, whereas other retailers might offer discounts on discs. Thoughts? Well, that's the risk of going digital. Sales are obviously way better than they used to be, but you are locking someone into a digital console means that they are at the mercy of your pricing, and they have to shop on your store, and you don't get any choice there, and locks you out of pre-owned games or borrowing games and stuff. There is a sacrifice that definitely comes with getting the digital version, and some people genuinely aren't fussed by that, and that's great. But I think mine and your motivation, as we've said before, is that we just want the most feature-complete console at launch. But some people will genuinely be thinking, I'm not ready to be locked into paying prices that the console manufacturer sets. I would like to be able to borrow games still.
They're talking about $70 now for some games. Have you seen that?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's quite a lot. And yeah, it's a good point. I'd not thought about the fact that some retailers might sell them with discounts physical. My main reason is, as you say, most feature complete version, and yeah, it will be my Blu-ray player. So I don't want to have to get some other device to play my Blu-rays. So yeah, that's the main reason for me.
I would also urge people, both Xbox and PlayStation purchasers, to start shopping around online for digital currency. Because, you can get, some places will sell, I think Shop2 is selling £45 PSN credit for 37 quid. And it might be worth, if you're getting a digital console, or even if you're not, it might be worth, if you can afford to, and you want to stock up on some credit. Because if you buy enough of it, you're basically getting a free game. With the savings that you make. So do consider that if you're getting a digital console. Stock up on credit while you can.
We've got a question also from James Harvey, who says, a lot of those free PS4 games coming to PS5, whilst great, have been monthly PS Plus games before. Yeah, it's a great way to get new PlayStation fans acquainted with some of the best franchises out there, but do you wish there were a few more perks for the more experienced Sony fans, besides the obviously great console? Thank you guys for continuously making the highest quality content. Love you boys. It's a good point, James.
It is.
It's a very good point.
A very good point. And that's how I feel most months with PlayStation Plus in general. I've got this, I've played this already, but I can still, stand back and appreciate what value that is to someone who hasn't played whatever it is that's on Plus that month. For example, I think Uncharted 4 might have been on Plus at some point, maybe.
Yeah, I think it was.
So, people who, if there was a PlayStation Plus month where Uncharted 4 was one of the games, I wouldn't look at it and go, oh, for God's sake, I've played that. I'd probably just look at it and think, oh, brilliant. Well, now I've got a copy of that digitally, and people who haven't played it can get it. What a great opportunity. I think it's pretty transparent that this is definitely not necessarily for established or experienced Sony fans, as James puts it. It's more to try and urge people to get on board with the PS5 if they haven't played those games, or maybe switch consoles entirely if they were with Xbox, or get into consoles for the first time if they've just sat out the last generation. This is a fantastic offering for people who haven't played some of the best games of the last 10 years, and they're all there as part of your subscription to play online. And it's not, Games Pass will still be better value because you get access to so many more games, but a lot of these games won't be on there because they're exclusive, and also you won't be paying for an additional subscription to Game Pass to play them. They'll be part of Plus. In terms of something for more experienced Sony fans, I don't know. It would be nice, but I was blown away by this, to be honest. I thought this was such a great offering, and I haven't played a couple of those games, Days Gone being one of them. And a lot of those games I own physically, so it'd be nice to get them on there digitally. And especially people who are looking at getting the digital discless version might want some things to play straight away. And if they haven't got these on Plus, or the ones that haven't appeared on Plus, they'll be able to play them.
Exactly.
So I'm not that bothered by there not necessarily being something specifically for me, but I do understand what James is saying for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think I said a similar thing last week, which is it almost bolsters the launch lineup, even though these, of course, aren't launch titles in the traditional sense, in that they're not new games. If you're an Xbox player, or as you say, maybe someone who sat out the whole generation, you look at the PS5, and you've got the launch titles of Dark Souls and Miles Morales and so on, but then on top of that, you will be able to play all of these other PS4 classics on your PS5 at launch, and in that sense, it's has the same effect as a launch title would do, in that you can think, oh, well, as soon as I get that console hooked up to my TV, I can play those games on that console. So it certainly adds to it like that. And you're right, even games that we've played before in the past, for example, I've completed Resi 7, but I think it was a a copy that sort of belonged to the What Culture office at the time, and I don't have it. I don't know if it went to you or if it's Scott or Jules. Yeah, I think the guys at the office have it. So it means that there are games there that, I might have played before, but I don't own them, either physically or digitally. So, just to have a copy of something that I've already played, that's a good thing. Or like you say, if you've got it physically, just to get an extra digital version there's nothing wrong with that. So, it was a surprise. I didn't expect it at all. And as I say, I think it's a good way to sort of half respond to Game Pass. It's not the same level of offerings, but it's a bonus that I don't think anyone was necessarily expecting. Mm-hmm. And I would love to think, and I actually, once I realised what this was as they were running the little trailer for it, I really had my fingers crossed that they would maybe also add some PS3 classics, PS1, PS2 classics as well, backwards compatible digital versions, because they're not offering full backwards compatibility for the whole PlayStation library. And, that's a shame, but technology-wise, maybe you can understand why. Although they only have to shove an emulator in the thing, so I don't know why. But, I was waiting for them to actually then suddenly bring up, Tekken or Crash or, whatever. I guess they would probably have to be largely Sony exclusives, or Sony published, I should say. But it would be nice to think that they'll add to this over time, rather than it be an incentive to get in there at launch and then it'll kind of go away. I would like to think it'll just get bigger and bigger, but I don't know.
The fact that they've called it the PlayStation Collection makes it sound like it could either be a standalone thing, this is the collection, here it is, or it's going to expand. And I've got to hope it's going to expand. They made a big song and dance about this, and it's got fancy graphics and everything. So if it was just at launch, here you go, there's going to be and by the way, if you're when you get your PS5, you'll get access to all of these PS4 games for free. The fact that it's all branded, it's got to be something, right? It's got to mean something, surely.
Yeah, hope so.
But we will see. It's happened. The countdown begins now. November the 17th in most of the world, and November the 12th everywhere else. Xbox launching 2 days earlier. Prices comparable, apart from Xbox Series S, which undercuts everybody. It'll be really interesting to see what happens. We did get quite a long question that we didn't have time to answer today about the fact that everyone's comparing Xbox and PlayStation as if they're still running the same race, but with the Series S, it looks like they are sort of starting to go in their own direction and do their own thing, much like Nintendo are, and they're not even trying to compete with Sony in that space anymore. And I'm inclined to agree. Like, things are really shifting, and it's really interesting. And that's not to say that Xbox has lost or anything stupid and dramatic and inflammatory like that. It just genuinely means that they're going after a different demographic that PlayStation aren't. And I think that just works for everyone.
Everyone's got their own little niche, rather than all trying to just fight for the same thing.
Yeah, definitely. So it'll be really interesting, as it has been this whole year, to see what happens in the next couple of months. But it's all out there now. If you have any thoughts or anything, you can contact us on Twitter and interact with us in all sorts of ways. Peter's going to tell you where and how.
Yes, we're putting content out on the regular on YouTube and Twitch. That's youtube.com and twitch.tv/Team TripleJump, videos and streams. And when we're streaming, we're modded by Lord Brotovich, Cecil Prumps, Madstadactyl and Trowling Badger. We've got social media, twitter.com and facebook.com/Team TripleJump. Luke Eldon looks after Facebook, and thank you, Luke, you're doing a great job. Patreon is available, of course, for asking questions on the podcast and so on. That's patreon.com /Team TripleJump. One of the benefits you can get there is an exclusive room in our Discord, and the Discord you can access at bit.ly/Team TripleJump, and that's modded over there by Jack and Joe. Thank you. The podcast is available in audio form if you're watching on YouTube right now at play.acast.com /s/TripleJump. We've got a website. It's triplej.mp. That's triplej.mp. And if you put a little /shop on the end of that, you can get to our shop, or you can just click the tab that says shop at the top if you like. It's up to you. And finally, triplej.mp/VODs will send you to our Triple Jump VODs channel on YouTube, where all of our live stream VODs get uploaded after the fact, so you can go and watch those there.
Yes, you can follow Peter on Instagram and Twitter at @ThatPeterAustin, and myself just on Twitter at @confused_dude. We do lists every Tuesday and Thursday, streams every Monday, Thursday and Friday. The Thursday being the joint streams on YouTube. Blaze it. Monday and Friday being solo streams. No stream from me this week, unfortunately, because I'm off and I've had all sorts of sporadic days and weirdness. But I will be returning to streaming next Friday. Fingers crossed.
I probably streamed on your day, though, which is the replacement there.
Crazy.
Yeah, wild.
Worst Games Ever. That's a show we do. It's fortnightly, Friday for patrons, Sunday for everyone else. The podcast is every Saturday, and we dot shows around worst games every other week. Please leave us a review on iTunes or your platform of choice. It helps something to do with algorithms. This week, it is a Worst Games week. Peter is editing a Legacy Worst Games.
Yeah, a little bit different this week. It's going to be the best little bits of when we played Rascal for the streaming event we did.
Uplink.
Hello. Thank you, Uplink. Jeez. All I could think of was Le Retro, and I was like, no, that wasn't it. So yeah, that was a sort of ticketed event that happened a month or so ago, but we now have the blessing to now put it out as an episode, so that's gone out for everyone to watch.
Absolutely, and that would have been yesterday for patrons of a certain tier, and Sunday for everyone else, so that's tomorrow. Hope you enjoy it. There was also a video that went out yesterday about the launch games of the Game Boy, the original Game Boy, so go and watch that if you're interested.
Excellent.
Just enough time for the sponsor this week, Peter, to see us off.
It's been a long one. There is just enough time.
Yeah, this is, of course, let me just get the wording here from the man himself. This is a very atmospheric sword and shield action mini golf course called Demon's Holes, where if you don't get a hole-in-one on every hole, you die. You and your friends just die. Very exciting. Sorry, died against. You and your friends died against, and that's it.
Died against. And that's
it. That's all there is.
Don't look over there at the God of War Ragnarok golf course. That doesn't exist.
No, it doesn't.
Don't worry about it.
It's not there yet. Close your eyes.
No. That's it.
It's over. Okay, thank you so much for listening, everybody. We hope your bank accounts are okay. It's going to be an expensive month for a lot of us, and we'll see you again next time. Look after yourselves, everybody. Bye.
Love you lots. Bye.